Alright, what's up YouTube? This is P from PBK. And yeah, you can see we kind of free-handing it again, not on the mic, not on the camera stand, the mic stand. Yeah, there's one right there. Anyway, pretty much this is another MMO episode. This should be episode 4. There'll be an episode 3 between this and that one, of course, because you know, that's how you count. Anyway though, quick things, just wanted to go over a few topics that I missed over and such. I've got a guest with me today. This is Ahmad, aka Kenpachi 2009. We'll have his information posted in the episode and whatnot.
Kenpachi 2099.
My bad, Kenpachi 2099. Pretty much he is the tank in DC universe at the moment. And he actually, like on World of Warcraft, he plays a paladin, which is also another type of tank. So basically what I'm saying is he's going to explain some basics for tanking for you. So if this is your first time playing the MMO, he'll pretty much go over some things that will be exclusive and non-exclusive, and then pretty much whatever he may miss or whatnot, I'm going to come over in probably the later episode or the second half of this episode. So let's get it started. And first thing up, Ahmad.
How's it going out there, MMO world? You're about to be introduced to the beginners tanking. But before I say beginners tanking, the word tanking, when you're playing an MMO, you want to be the biggest douchebag you can be, meaning whatever enemy you're fighting, you want to have all his attention. That's the tanking's main job. His job is to hold attention. He wants attention.
It's all about the aggro.
Yeah, it's all about that aggro or hate or wherever you know, they're saying, I always say MMO words are being used. Also, with that...
Put a little light on you, that's all.
Appreciate it. With that being said, I can enter now the tanking. Step 1 as a tank, you want to be sure that you, depending on which MMO you're playing.
Because it does vary from MMO, the type of things that are important to your stats,
yeah,
which we will discuss, but you can actually look a lot of that stuff up online. Just Google whatever your job is in the game, and they usually, someone has written extensively about it.
Yeah, he's stealing my light, by the way.
Yeah, my bad.
When you're starting off, if you're a beginner, like I said, this is the beginning section of any MMO, and you decide that you want to be a tank. It's not a tough job per se. It's one of those jobs where you have to stay on your P's and Q's, because if you go down, the team follows behind you. Tanking also depends on high defense, some MMOs call it tolerance, aggro, hate, or whatever you want to call it. But you want to hold that. Dominance is another one that they use also in DC Universe. You want to have somewhat of a moderate high in that area as far as the stats wise, to keep this aggro away from healers, buffers, or whatever you decide to call them, DPSs.
Yeah.
But the job is not to hit as hard as any other class, but you know, you want to be able to hit just hard enough where nobody else is pretty much being attacked. That's an advanced tanking. If nobody's being attacked, you're doing a great job. But tanking.
Now, explain to them why you're protecting the other people in the team by basically using your character.
Well,
because there's like we already know there's a hierarchy to survival in party situations, and I don't want to say it. I want you to say it.
Well, if anybody knows that, you know, I play video games when I'm playing an MMO, everybody knows apparently all I make is tanks. It's very important to, as a tank, to protect your squad. You're like, if like there's a military base, you'll be probably one of those Marine types who go in first. Because that's what your job is. Your job is to walk your team through whatever instance, raid, or alerts, or whatever case is.
So you're basically the point man.
Yeah, it's like playing basketball. If anybody plays sports, you're the point guard, you're a football, you're the quarterback. You lead your team down the stretch. But if you go down, then your team goes down with you, because, first of all, that whole group depends on you. This is where it comes a little bit tougher for those beginning tankers. It becomes a bit tough when people are relying on you. And if you're one of those shy type persons who play MMOs but you don't want to get too much action, a tank is not the role for you.
True.
I repeat, a tank is not the role for you.
You want to be something like a DPS or something else.
Somebody.
Like, okay, the reason why I had him say all that was because there's basically a hierarchy to how this works. It's healers, tank, DPS, and then whatever support groups are left.
We used to call them support classes.
Okay, now the reason why I have the support classes last, they help you a great deal, but they're not necessarily important if they get knocked down. Your healer's most important because he's keeping your tank and team alive.
Yeah.
So if he dies, doesn't matter how badass your DPS is, doesn't matter how badass your tank is. Guess what they can't do? Heal. And that is important.
Important.
Yes.
Beginning tanking also consists of you want to be able to, as a person playing a tank, you want to be able to build as much friends on that game or whatever MMO you decide to play as much as possible.
Okay, that's gonna help you level up.
That helps you level up. Also, tanking has the ability to solo grind, which he explained earlier in episode 2 by grinding.
Right.
Not every MMO is tank can solo grind. It's to a period of level. Certain level, he's allowed to solo grind. But majority of the time, any MMO allows a tank to solo most of his stuff.
Right.
He's handicapped on the fact that he can't heal, but he takes a certain amount of damage. Like, it's extreme. He can take damage far more than any character on an MMO.
Like, explain, like, because I know they can't heal, but just about every MMO gives you some sort of kind of light-ended healing ability. Like, in Final Fantasy, we have potions.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, I definitely need to explain that to your beginners. Don't think just because you're a tank that you can't heal. The MMOs nowadays are starting to give these tank classes the ability to heal themselves, not the group, but themselves. Playing DC Universe, you have certain ones that just heal you, and then you have World of Warcraft, which is a good one because depending on which type of tank you are, if you're a paladin, I like to call myself as a super tank. Also, legendary. My paladin name is Legendary Ken, all caps, and I'm in the realm of Vashi on World of Warcraft. Also, a warrior is another class that is able to tank, but he relies on bandages and potions.
Okay, now remember what I was just talking about potions and such. All right, now I'm not really a tank person. I'm really more of a support type of character. But we in Final Fantasy used to refer to those as like sub tanks. And they're like tanks, but not as awesome.
What's another part for a beginner's tanking? What you also need to understand, knowing your surroundings as a tank. You need to know when.
Yeah.
This is an important part. No matter what section of the tanking you're in, you need to know when to pull and what to pull. So we like to call getting one shot. Because if you are a tank and you get one shot, your team falls down like raiding flies. When I say pull, the word pull means when you're tanking, because you're going to hear this a lot. They're saying pull aggro or hold aggro. When they tell you to pull something, that means gets his attention. So nobody's attacking, nobody, I repeat, nobody but the tank. There's no heals, there's no buffs, there's no nothing. There's just the tank attacking with a weapon or a power of his choosing.
Yeah, which is true.
But you have to pull that monster's attention before anything else can take place.
Okay, now, yeah, I'm just here. I'm being the devil's advocate today. Like, all right. Now, in Final Fantasy, that was an exception. Your puller in Final Fantasy was literally like a DPS class or a magic-based class. And the reason why is because Final Fantasy 11 had monsters that would aggro you in different ways, and you'd have to be careful how you get their attention. But pretty much, if we couldn't use magic or projectile, we have the tank use long range to bring it over to him, because we had to be worried about things like linking, which I am going to talk about in the video before this and such. And we had like lots of really messed up things that made things so complicated, but it slows down your solo grind and it makes you get better. So that I just wanted to bring that point up.
Also, not to be, tanking can also be a woman or a male. So don't get confused of being, somebody saying, oh,
don't be
he's a tank.
sexist.
Yeah, I'm not sexist at all. But you don't want anybody to be like, oh, he's a tank. There's pretty good women tanking too. You have to check them out.
Yeah.
Also, a beginner's tank, you want to make sure you have your weapon. Weapon is, don't try to get a weapon that's out of your class or your level type.
Most MMOs won't let you pick it anyway.
Yeah, most MMOs won't let you, but if you have an MMO where you can pretty much share a weapon with the character that's already been created, it creates a problem for a beginner tank. Because now he's hitting twice as hard, which means the monster he's pulling is going to hit twice as harder. I don't know if you noticed, but playing any MMO, you're going to run into this monster as a tank. You're going to run into a monster as the equivalent of you, but hit twice as hard. So if you hit him too hard, he's going to hit you harder.
Almost like super mobs.
Yeah, it's going to literally take you out. But like I said, a beginner's tank, you don't have much to worry about per se between the levels of 1 and 10. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be a lot of stuff to do between 1 and 10, so don't think you're going to get bored. But the real fun begins when you, as a tank, hit the level of 20 to whatever game that MMO has a level cap to.
Yeah, which that's really when you start playing.
This is when you start meeting people who's been playing this MMO, and they're going to try to instruct you on how to be a tank, and this is why I am here to help.
Because that is not a fun process.
If you're not a people's person already, and you're trying to be a tank, and you're having someone else tell you how to play your role, you're going to be pretty upset. And with that being said, you're more likely to probably either quit the game or just leave whatever group or party is going on at the moment to try and find another one that's not going to tell you what to do, which you already know what to do. Your main focus as a beginner's tank is you want to get the feel, play around with it between 1 and 10, so you know exactly what you need to do and what needs not to be done. Because I've ran into plenty of tanks as an MMO player. I'm an advanced player. I ran into some tanks that have the slightest idea what they're doing, and it causes me and probably the other group members to die. And that you do not want to have a party pooper. Meaning he wants to be a DPS but in a tank form. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing with doing a lot of damage. But what good are you if you're dead and your team falls behind you?
Wipe.
You're going to get wiped, and you're going to have to repeat whatever's been done.
Yeah, we got a lot of terms that you don't want to hear, but are going to happen.
And the most aggravating thing is repeating the same boss over and over and over.
Not because you're beating him and getting rewarded for it, but because he's killing you.
Yeah. So as a tank, you probably... Let me be honest with you. Beginner's tank is not as hard, but you want to be the last person to die in your party, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
Why I say that?
Yeah, and when he says that, he don't mean because you dodged so well either.
No. You want to be the last person to die in your party. Meaning you're allowing your other party members to either, rebuild health or mana or power, whatever the word is you're using. And you want to be able to, stay consistent with that monster until your group can either come back to you, or you can be able to kind of somewhat, I like to call solo mobbing. Solo mobbing is if my party's down and I'm able to take out most of the mob by myself until they're either revived or they're able to come back in.
Right.
But for a beginner's tank, just try to focus on lasting longer than your group can. Because you're going to be taking damage no matter what. You're the only person in that group that's probably going to take more damage than anybody else. So be friends with other tanks so they can help you tank also. Because you don't want to tank a lot of stuff alone. I'm going to tell you that now. I've tried and I've been foot been in my ass every time. And there's a mob who's putting his foot in my ass every time I try to solo tank, and I realize what I need to do. Make friends, check out my job, and know what I need to do inside of my job. So when it's time for me to go to the intermediate tanking, I know exactly what needs to be done.
Okay, and this brings up another point, because as you know, I was a healer in Final Fantasy. Yeah, you don't see me running to go do that class and anything else. For a reason. Alright, now, like he was just saying, alright, your healer is important because he's the guy you need to have alive because he can basically revive everybody and bring them back to life and all that good stuff. So, you want him protected.
Make sure a healer is your best friend.
Yeah, and if you're a tank, that's what you want to meet, you want to meet healers, tanks, support gas, just as much as you can, because that's who you're going to be partying with. Now, there is this thing that happens called lockout, where you go into certain mobs or fight certain things, and the game just literally is like, oh, you didn't come in with everybody. Or, oh, you died inside and weren't revived and went to home point. Guess what? When you get back, you can't come in till the fight's over.
And that's where your tank comes into play.
Oh, you talk about messing your tank up or upsetting your tank. To have to be in there by himself with no support, he won't last too long.
Also got a very, very important thing to tell you about any MMO being a tank. You damage your gear, you better have the money to pay for it.
Yeah, now in Final Fantasy XI, that was the one grace. You just had to buy equipment you didn't have to repair. In 14 and everything else apparently since, you now must repair gear.
The reason I say this, a tank in any MMO has the most highest repair price than any other job, any other class, whatever you decide to call it. You're going to be the most expensive person that has to repair his gear or her gear on the due fact that you're just a tank. Not what you're wearing, it's the fact that you're a tank.
Yeah.
And you take excessive amount of damage.
Yeah, because
a DPS healer or a buffer support class can get one shot or like two shot. It's going to take a while to take a tank down, which means he's taking a lot more power damages than any other class. So don't rely on the DPS. Not saying that the DPS is not important, he is, but don't rely on him to burn that monster just as fast. Because if he tries, and you can spark a critical if you want, but don't try to spark as many, because a beginning MMO, and I've seen a lot of it happen, they want to do an excessive amount of damage, but once that critical hits and all of a sudden you see that mob boss enraged, wipe. The group is gone and you have to redo this thing again.
Because we've seen plenty of tanks mistake the job for DPS.
Keep a lot of potions and a lot of healing material on you to also help out your healer if he's running out of mana or power. You want to be able to also keep yourself alive due to the fact that the healer's giving out health, which causes mana and power to be burned until he gets it back. So don't be a dummy and go out there and don't drink a 6-pack of, as DC Universe likes to call, soda cola.
Yeah.
Or potions on Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Also be able to take some buff items like food or something like that that has a buff to it.
All right, I got one for you. Can you give them an example of a tank in like an RPG? Because I know we have them in RPG, although they're not on the same system, so to speak. Like
well, I can explain World of Warcraft.
Well, I was going to think more like Final Fantasy VII. Cloud is...
Okay, Cloud would be your tank.
Yeah. Barrett might even be a tank, actually.
I would take Barrett as a sub-tank.
Yeah, because he couldn't take hits as well.
But, yeah, he can hold aggro, but not as long, and he can keep some of that damage continuously.
Yeah, he was more like a damage dealer, actually.
I got a better one. Final Fantasy X, when you're playing with Titus, Orin, and Kimari. Most people didn't realize that's probably one of the best three to put together, but you're sacrificing yourself with a healer. So you're playing these three without a healer, meaning Orin, first of all, is probably the top tank of that game. But Kimari Ronso, yes, I said the whole name, I'm a geek. He's one of those DPSs that me personally think that every MMO should have.
Damn, I'm mad that you said that because you know what came to mind, right? You remember in Final Fantasy VII when they killed what's her name, Arius? Or Alias?
I think it was Arius or something like that.
Yeah. She was the healer. Do you remember how you felt when they killed her and your immediate reaction was, oh crap, who's going to heal my party? That's what it's like when you mess up.
We could also use Dragon Ball Z as a term.
Yeah.
Goku would be the tank. And I think it was either Dende or Nail. Not Nail, or Piccolo. No, Piccolo didn't really heal. But
Dende.
You notice when Dende was missing, a lot of that healing didn't go on as fast as you thought it would. So a lot of the Dragon Ball Z heroes were taking an ass whoop.
See, that's why they introduced the Zensu beam. That was the item pop.
That Sensu beam was your item pop. Every character had to have a Sensu beam. Now, the guy that pretty much I personally think should have stayed in Dragon Ball Z was Broly. He was the perfect tank of that series.
Nah, but you know what I'm mad at is they used to use the Dragon Ball's wish almost like a Phoenix down.
Yeah, the Dragon Balls was like Final Fantasy's Phoenix down, but you had to have 7 of them, which sucked.
Yeah.
Phoenix down, oh man, let me tell you, I'm burning through those like crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm playing World of Warcraft. It's not as hard. As you can see in the background, this is my tank, Kenpachi 2099. This is DC Universe. He's a T3.5 tank, so I'm still working on him. Got some stuff to put in, and I also need to, later I'm going to take, Hiredhenchman's, you don't go by Hiredhenchman, what I'm talking about?
Hired.
Yeah, I'm taking his controller to run a few things, get him some gear also. But as you can see, he's pretty much in development, but he kicks ass as people see. He's a tank, he does the job well.
First of all, he's a self-healing tank, so
yeah.
he's like an advanced tank paddling class. He's a meat tank is what he is.
Yeah. Oh, World of Warcraft, don't get me wrong, warriors make a great tank, but if you want to be a great tank in World of Warcraft, pick a paladin class. Okay,
now, this might be all we can really cram into the basics and such, because all the other information gets into kind of heavy game-specific details.
Intermediate class next.
So what I'm going to do is, and I've already talked with him, is we're going to start another set of videos as well, or either we'll do some episodes of this one where we break down different tanks and what's important and just kind of have an open-ended discussion, because, I figure you guys dig that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, once I think we got a few characters that we can work on, we're going to give you some gameplay of how each class works. So you're going to be checking me out, playing with the new tank that I made. And you're also going to be checking him out. I don't know which class he's made yet.
Daimon Diesel, if I get him up to 30, he is a tank. He's a fire tank.
You'll be seeing two tanks, two beginner tanks, run a raid on alert from DC Universe, so we can pretty much show you how a tank will start to be working.
So yeah, and I got to do some grinding in Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, also. So we're gonna give you a study guide for the beginners MMO. Then we're gonna move it up to intermediate, then advanced.
Yeah, because
take it a step at a time. We're gonna take it a game at a time to show you what is what, because there's different MMOs, so you need to know which is which, and pretty much the roles are still the same, but some have an extra class to it and some don't. And that is pretty much it, man. I'll hit you up with the intermediate tanking, and he'll fill you in on the rest of the MMO info. And for anything else, just hit up the webpage and go to the YouTube channel. Let them know.
Got to. So yeah, we'll have some more of this stuff definitely coming down the lines, because if nothing else, this helps us as like professional MMO players, or pretty much guys. We're not the guys with no life, Lord knows. We do have some people who's 24/7 all day. They don't read that disclaimer, obviously. But, go outside with your friends too.
And play video games. Well,
play stuff outside the house.
Basketball.
And I don't mean take your computer outside either.
Don't be a environmental geek. No offense. Those are the things to do. Also, and if you're an adult, do what adults like to do. Party, hang out, clubs. Stay away from drugs, and be moderate on alcohol. Don't drink alcohol, but don't drink as much.
So yeah. So basically, pretty much as MMO goes and such, because we don't spend our whole life in it, we'll break down a lot of the stuff in dynamics, because as you'll kind of learn, and I'll talk about this later, we hustle in games too. And that's definitely an advanced conversation. That's not a beginner conversation, but it's something you're going to need to learn, because what I'm going to break down is, if I don't do it in the previous video, I'm going to do it in the upcoming video, where I'm going to talk about some basic economics that may come with certain jobs. So this is it. This is probably going to be 2 episodes, because, we got a lot of content.
Yeah.
Got to break that up and such. So this is Ahmad, and this is P.